Hello everyone. Uh, Here it is. It's morning, mid-morning or so, February 10th, 2020. I just wanted to, I was sitting here thinking, and I wanted to put some of my thoughts out here, or out there, and actually, and some observations that I've noticed over the years. And just for a brief background of my experiences, I guess, or what my experiences have led up to. Basically, I've been homeless since like the year 2002. And even though I was married in 2002, up until 2016, or thereabouts, pretty close, I've been homeless since 2002. After thinking about it, they say the home is where the heart is, and I did have my heart with me, but during those times, but it didn't seem that it really it was of no consequence to anyone but myself. I've had a theory, and just before 2002, the prior years to that, few years before that, I really started doing some really deep diving into a lot of things, a lot of subjects, and those subjects were, why humanity, why and culturally and societal reasons or whatever, why we are still in this situation. And we have high technology, high enough technology and knowledge of the technology and comprehension of it that we could and could have long ago eliminated poverty, most sicknesses, just lots of stuff. Everybody knows the story as far as that goes. And I guess one of my main influences for all of this was that my mom used to tell me, and she told me several times, Marty, you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. And this didn't mean, I want to rule the world. Oh, we'll go out there and destroy people and destroy whatever, to gain your position. No, it's going to take hard work. You're going to have to use the power of your mind to accomplish what you want to. So over the years, I've thought about that. So anyway, so basically I've been literally homeless, not having a residence, since early 2016, and now it's February 10th, 2020, and I see that that's more true, what my mom had told me. I believe in it even more. I've never wavered in my feelings about that, my belief in that, and what can be accomplished. But here, the end of February, I'm coming up. It's coming up being a complete year, since I actually started living in my car. And here I am a year later. I'm still living in my car. Everything's going okay, I guess. It is a bit of a struggle. But, and it's all my responsibility. I understand that. But I feel like that I haven't had the opportunity to work at a regular, go to work every day, do something that you can't stand in order to earn these little shekels, these pennies, whatever you might call it, so that you can try to survive. I refuse to support that type of situation, that type of environment. And even though I am, because I still require money for certain things, to exchange for certain things. But, I've noticed it's strange, and it's kind of been like this my entire life. So I guess, everybody has their path, their set, whatever, through their lot in life. And I like interacting with people. I'm curious about their opinions, their thoughts, how they feel, what they think about something. Because it helps me to, I try to, as much as that information, and I'll later compare it to what ideas or thoughts or, what feelings that I may have, so that I can better plot the map, so to speak, and understand, comprehend the map and how to navigate, to certain locations or what have you, both mentally, physically, that kind of deal. And I've seen, within the past year, I've seen a lot of, and we can all agree, I'm sure, that things have drastically picked up in the past couple of years. But in the past year, really, there's, the technology seems to be coming out, and this new stuff, never heard before. And then all of a sudden, you hear about it, and you're like, oh, wow, okay, well, damn. Well, I'm looking at it, and I guess maybe I'm attuned, maybe more so than a lot of people are, to some things. And I see that a lot of things that I've been attuned to are coming to fruition, as far as ideas, thoughts and attitudes or whatever. But then again, a lot of it hasn't. But this drives me freaking crazy, is this concept that people have of this money. The world is driven by this mindless acquirement, or this mindless task of acquiring wealth, money, value, this outside of yourself, tangible, what people have considered to be valuable. And the reason that is because it's an influence. You have more money, you can provide or deny, things or whatever it might be to people. But and a lot of people use it as, well, if you don't agree with me, if you don't think the way that I do or whatever, then no, you're ostracized from from that person's sphere, or let's say cube of existence, and you're ignored. Everybody's ignored except for the people that do and act and feel and say how people with other, with these influences, which basically, or other thoughts and ideas, beliefs, whatever, comprehension, limited comprehension, that unless you're acquiring money in some way, means, some form or whatever, then if you're not doing that, then you are considered of much less value to society or the culture. I don't know why. I hadn't figured that out. Well, I know why. Because the human mind, it basically is a very weak, very malleable, easily conditioned, programmed tool. An organism, a programmable organism. And it's more of this conditioning and programming comes for someone that's not aware of the possibilities of their mind. That conditioning and programming comes more, it seems, from the outside influences or what have you, and uses that ignorance, uses the person's ignorance or using a person's ignorance of the abilities of their mind to further cultivate and propagate a system that is basically self-destructive to a degree. And I'm sure, if people think about it and look around, you say, oh yeah, that's absolutely true. So in person, when you speak with people and, not trying, without disturbing their worldview, their world opinions and whatnot, and their beliefs of how, it's always been this way, this is the way it is, you never change anything, woes, woes, woes. And it's so ridiculous, but there's hardly many people that will come out and say that, if they don't believe in that system, but they continue to work and participate in that system, which is actually propagating and cultivating and furthering that type of mentality and that type of system, they look at everybody that doesn't feel that way as just totally insane, totally crazy, person's not right, they're thinking. But those people that are standing back and looking at this system going on, it's a self-destructing system. It's a self-destructive mentality, But yeah, I'm just ranting on a little bit. But I did want to say this, that maybe it's personally my personality or whatever. I get along great with most everybody. Interactions, laugh, enjoy the person's company and stuff like that. But I've put ideas out there, stated what my ideas, verbally put them out there, written, either posting or writing stuff. And people basically avoid me or avoid interaction with me in a lot of cases. Not all the time, but in most cases. I've seen this over the years. I don't know if I make them uncomfortable because it's something that I say, it's an idea that I project out there or whatever. Sometimes it feels like people are actually intimidated. And not that I have that I realize anyway. Not that I go in and try to dominate anything. I feel that everybody should come to their own conclusions, but maybe that has something to do with it. People, because of their insecurity and their not knowing of certain information or data, or haven't had the certain experiences in their lifetime, in their life, that they don't want to disrupt what they're comfortable with, but never considering that they could be existing in a much happier, much more beneficial, benevolent, and supportive environment, by maybe, cracking their mind open just a little bit more to accept, or at least to contemplate, to hear, or just imagine, create imaginative, constructive, creative thoughts. I don't know. It's very frustrating at times. It definitely has been, or has not been, the easiest path from what I've experienced. But this is just an observation. It's crazy, and people, they might read an idea, or see an idea, or think about an idea, that they've read somewhere or heard somebody say or whatever, and then you'll notice, if you've been paying attention to a person or whatever, and you'll say, they're coming around, slowly, to certain things, but they never give credit to most of the time. Most of the time, people aren't giving credit for how they came up with an idea, where they got it from, how they, whatever, and they're trying to make money off of it. All of my ideas, all of my work that I've done, it's public. I've put it out there, and I guess this is to be expected, sort of the way that I feel, that I'm stating how I feel. But it's this thing back to how can I better? How can I get ahead? How can I do what I want to do? Well, I would suggest the best, maybe not the quickest, but probably the most beneficial to society, to yourself, to a person, to their lives, to their livelihood, and all this, would be, rather than thinking of just uplifting themselves, how about thinking about uplifting the entirety? Come up with something that lifts up the entirety, without having to feel like they have to develop a certain idea, or have to get a patent for this, patent for that. And I know there people will say, "Oh, you're full of shit. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? If you don't have any money, you can't promote this. You can't market that." Oh yeah, you can. And it would be a much stronger, more viable system, whatever, if it was, a good, considered a very productive thing, positive thing for yourself or society or culture, whatever, to incorporate the people and everything else that's within the environment, to uplift, anybody, and I'm sure anybody can attest to this that knows me personally, that I will most times do what I can, practically bend over backwards to help someone out. Just for doing it, just to help someone out, because I've experienced how it is not to have people do that. Not, people ignore you. They avoid you just because they don't want their egos bruised. And not that I'm insulting or anything like that, or argumentative, or trying to force my whatever onto them. I want to cooperate with them. That's the key. I want to cooperate. I want people to cooperate with me, and I want to cooperate with them, so that we may create a more beneficial and benevolent environment for the sake of the environment, for the sake of all that exists within the environment, and go as far as to say, and for whatever or wherever the environment that we recognize, that we comprehend, where that exists. I've come up with living on virtual energy, as a basic definition that most people, I think, could get on board with, as far as understanding what that virtual energy is, how it can be utilized or comprehended in such a way that maybe more of these stories, myths, accounts, teachings, whatever, may be better understood. A lot of this occult, esoteric stuff, there's a lot of time that goes into understanding or learning and trying to understand the stuff and coming up with logical, reasonable explanations of things. But a lot of it is hijacked. For one, it's the person trying to make the livelihood. They want to make their money, and it's projected out as, I'm trying to help humanity, I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. Yeah, maybe they've got maybe good intention, but it's not carried any further than that, other than to enrich themselves or enrich their close associates or whatever. I think it's just ultimately ridiculous, and ultimately self-serving, and ultimately it will fail. A person using that and say, look, 1,000 years we've been, no shit, but look, compared to 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, 100 years ago, look what's happening now. There are movements, so that gives me, gives me hope. I'm happy to see that people are tired of adhering to the slavery, the slavery system. But we're going to have to get back. People are going to have to expand their minds, because if you're not expanding your mind, you're just going to be, if you already aren't, you're an automaton. You're just doing what's dictated, what has been dictated, you don't want to come up with new ideas, you don't want to think in different terms, more positive terms or whatever, because that's the way it's always been, that's the way it is, that's the way it'll always be. And that's exactly right for those people. So anyway, so love, living on virtual energy, logically optimizing the virtual environment. Come up with a lexicon. It may not be right, but the funny thing is, I never get any comments on anything. Hardly. Hadn't heard anybody say, and I'm not looking for praise and stuff like that. I'm really not looking for that. I'm just looking for changes being made. And if I am looking for recognition, and I don't want to say I'm not personally looking for recognition, because I see it with the interactions I have with people, and the people that do get it, without them having to say anything. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh yeah, I'm gonna work. Yeah, I understand. I'm gonna work. Utilize that theory or whatever, in my life to improve my life. But you just don't. I don't experience that type of stuff, basically, I am reclusive, seclusive, whatever, for the most part, but I love interactions with other people and stuff. But I'm so overwhelmed sometimes. I'm very sensitive in a lot of ways to a lot of things, and to think like I enjoy thinking, that I feel is productive for me, that keeps me uplifted, that does uplift me, that keeps me positive. Being around in general societal things, there's just so much negativity, and not directed at me, but I don't function well in it because it's just all pervasive. It just smothers me, and it holds my, I feel my creative energies. It pressurizes, I feel, that type of that type of environment for me, mental environment, and it's very draining, and that's, I guess, one of the reasons I'm existing like I am, trying to make a difference. What does it take? I don't know. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of processing of information, understanding how your mind works personally. Not my mind, but how your mind works. I'm talking about other people. What does it take? You have to be willing to spend that time, and most people don't want to do it because, I gotta work, I gotta pay rent, I gotta put food on the table for the kids, I gotta do this for the wife, I gotta cut the grass, I gotta do this, do that, whatever. And all of these things that they're doing have nothing at all to do with improving their mental capacities, exercising their minds, so that they could possibly be more creative and come up with different alternatives within their life, within their lifestyle, to improve their lot and to help others improve their lot in life. The upliftment of humanity. So anyway, rant off, going on for 28 minutes. Sorry it's so long. Who watches it? I know I'm shadow banned on most stuff. Like I said, I hardly ever get any kind of responses. So I did have a compliment though recently, and it really made me feel good. And I know this person's going through a hard time right now, and my heart goes out to them. And I just want to tell them, hey, hang in there. Things are going to get better. You've got a hump that you've got to get over, and you will get over it. But I want to tell you also that I certainly do appreciate it. And what they told me, just made me feel really good. Is just said, hey, if I had, if I can ever get situated, if I have the, get going on what they were doing, and I get the finances, I said, I'm going to send for you, and I'm going to put your mind to work. And he's pretty much a like-minded individual. And I've never had anybody say that, positively, like, hey, I hear what you're saying. I see that you understand some things, and could really you know, be a very positive influence or an energy or whatever to get things done like we're trying to do. And that made me feel really good. It kind of left me without words to respond to it, because nobody's ever said that to me. Nobody's ever even remotely said anything like that to me. And it made me feel good. So, and I appreciate that, Patrick. I really do. And I hope that that your rough times that you're going through are easing, and that you are able to find the absolute most beneficial, benevolent remedies to your situation. They will pass. Things will get better. Believe that. Know that. Not only believe it, feel it, know it, because it is true. So thanks everyone for watching. Y'all have a blessed day. Bless all of y'all. Yeah, nothing much more to say right now. Thanks for watching. See ya.